Hello there, friends. Andrea with the bangs here. Andrea with the curlered bangs here. Why? Just because I like to be unpredictable at times. Also, I was doing a picture for my vintage Instagram, and I just decided it might be fun to film my intro with the curlers. Anyway, forget the curlers. I am here to introduce you to my next guest, a returning friend named Mars. The last chat we did was about meaning, and it took place at the very beginning of the lockdowns with COVID. And actually, it was interesting. I didn't even necessarily mean to start here, but we started off talking about meaning again. And then we moved into talk about Mars's transition. I realized that I didn't really talk with him about being transgender at all in the last chat we had, and I just wanted to cover a few things that I was curious about and was wondering and wanted to hear his perspective on. And also, Mars is conservative. He's like conservative leaning, so he has an interesting perspective on things, on issues. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I think you guys are gonna like this chat. It's about an hour. So we talk about internet culture and being on different platforms and such for the first 10 minutes. And we talk a little bit about the meaning stuff in there. And then we move on to talk about his transgenderism. And then we end up back at meaning at the end. So would love to hear what you guys think, as always. And if you are new to the channel and you want to see more antics like this, please do not forget to subscribe. I'm bad at remembering to introduce people when we're in the middle of chatting and I start recording. Hello, Mars.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
This is the first interview I do
this
year.
year. A whole year. Yeah, I know. 2021, the possibilities.
Yeah.
So that's what I brought up was about 2020.
Yeah.
What did you think of 2020?
I'll try not to cuss.
Oh,
but
I don't care.
It was messy. You know what I mean?
Cuss away.
Yeah. No, I thought, I don't know what you thought, but I mean, honestly, I'm just surprised that I think I'm still sane. I don't know, like thank God I didn't go crazy, because between COVID and politics, I felt like I was going crazy for a little bit, so.
But like, I know that's like a phrase, people just say stuff like that, but what can you articulate what you mean by you felt like you were going crazy?
Just personally, where I'm at, we didn't get impacted like harshly because it's not a big city, by COVID.
Yeah,
but
you're in the state of Kansas,
to
right?
me, I'm in the state of Kansas, and I'm not like in a big city. But I found it really depressing, just everything that came with COVID, which personally for me made it challenging to stay on top of my I guess mental health and just in general. I definitely feel like it took a lot more effort. Obviously, because of everything that was happening. I personally felt like I had to work a little bit harder to make sure that I'm not in my head overthinking what is happening with COVID or what could happen. You know what I mean? Like early on, it's like, okay, is this how we all go out? I mean, like after that first month, like a lot of people didn't know what was going to happen. So it's just a lot of
unknowns,
balancing,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then, obviously over here with our politics, that added a lot to it as well. So
the lack of unity and whatnot.
The lack of unity and I don't know, just people being vicious while also freaking out over the virus. I mean, honestly, it sucks that, I just didn't like that whole year. I didn't like how it went and ended. It was just not, I mean, out of all the years that I've personally ever lived, probably not the one that I want to remember,
See,
I don't know.
Okay, because when I spoke with you, that was right at the beginning of, I think it was in March or April. And you were doing some interesting meaning sort of introspection. But
Yeah,
then
and
it
that went
gets,
bye really fast.
yeah, okay, so wait, so
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
didn't seem bad when I spoke with you introspection wise, like what you were thinking about, but did it kind of
yeah.
evolve then into like, oh, this is not a good space for you to be thinking on all the time?
No, it
You,
was just I don't know why I said bye. That was dumb.
dude,
So
I
sorry, I'm
didn't
like
even
backtracking
stop
to
to listen. I'm
yeah.
such a good host. I was just gonna continue on with my thought.
So yeah, I don't know about you, but I find it very hard to balance like keeping up with social media
Hmm.
plus doing the podcast thing plus editing, occasionally, and then on top of that, making sure you're still connecting with family and friends.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot to keep up with, and
Hmm.
like I think what happened was everything was happening so fast because it was like COVID, then the George Floyd happened
Hmm.
here, and I mean, yeah, I found myself completely sidetracked. Like it was hard to not get sucked into all that.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I still have a hard time with that. Just making, yeah, and I don't know how much you could relate, but like kind of making sure that you step away from Twitter and
Right.
finding meaning in your
Right.
life. Which I mean, I am still working on. I'm so behind on books, including the one that you
No, no.
recommended.
Yes,
But
yes. I get.
yeah.
Okay, because I relate to that because the thing
Mhm,
that is interesting, and I
mhm,
actually think that's what I want to explore a little bit more on my channel, is the thing that has brought me to this place is also a distraction from me pursuing the good direction that it has sent me on. So Twitter
yeah.
and other social media. I'm also on a
Mhm,
Discord platform that I am on like too often. And so these discussions and these topics and these happenings with certain peoples makes me think and makes me be like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. Maybe I want to delve into that subject or whatever, and maybe I'm going to change my
right.
perspective a bit, and maybe whatever. And it's brought me like guests, people to talk to and explore certain things with. But
Mhm,
then I need to like actually think about the things and explore them without
mhm,
the speed and how rapid things go online. So
right.
it's almost like it gives me this thing. It's given me the thing to think of, but then it distracts me from that thing that I'd like to think of. Do you relate? Is that sort of what you mean at all?
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, totally. It's like I'll save stuff, even screenshots. Sometimes I'll somebody will say something that I'm like, oh, I want to explore what they mean by this, or I want to look into this, and then I have I don't know, 50 screenshots later of topics I want to talk about, or maybe a book, and I'm just so behind on that. Then on top of that, I have to keep up with the world, which is happening, or I don't think the world is. I mean, maybe it is. It probably the world. Are things happening
No, no,
faster?
no, no.
I don't
We're
think so. I
aware
think
of
it's
it.
just the
We
that
it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're so aware of it that it feels like it's just going past me, and so yeah, it's really tough to like make sure you're. I want to try to keep up with what's happening around me, but I also just get so lost in that sometimes that I'm like, man, but also, what is the meaning of my life? You know what I mean? I find myself being pulled from one to the other, and I find it super difficult. That's honestly still my biggest, like managing time to read a book. Even that I've gotten so bad at, and I wonder how much of it is just social media, which is probably a lot. Like I'll read 20 pages of a book, I'll pause that one, read another 20 in
Mhm.
another book. Okay, I'm just gonna stop there. Then I go back to like trying to see what's going on in the world. I mean, it's just yeah, it's kind of unhealthy, I guess. But I just that's probably if there's anything I want to work on this year, that's definitely
Mhm.
one of them because I just don't know how to slow down when I feel like I have to keep up with
That's a
everything.
good way to put
You
it.
know?
Yeah. I think you're not alone. I think there's a lot
Mm,
of people feeling like that. Okay, so that's why I'm part of
right.
book clubs. I'm running a book club on this Discord
Mm,
server. And we're reading Man's Search for Meaning. And I still need to read all
Oh,
45
wait.
pages.
What is it called?
Man's Search for Meaning, and it's by a guy named Viktor Frankl,
Okay.
and he
Mhm.
he is a psychologist who was in the Holocaust. And so because of his training, he used that to sort of observe what was happening in around him in the concentration camp.
Yeah.
And so we're supposed to read the first 45 pages, and I'm supposed to do that by Wednesday, and I haven't. And I'm like saying it
Mhm.
out loud
Yeah.
right now to make myself
Yeah.
do it tonight. So, but then I'm being interviewed
Right.
tonight
Yeah.
by
I mean,
someone. Oh my gosh, like Mars. I wasn't even necessarily
yeah,
wanting to like touch on these subjects, but this is so pertinent.
it
How
happens.
busy,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm. Yeah. It's crazy,
do
huh?
you feel like
Yeah. Because
this?
I'm even Discord. I'm pretty sure I'm in that
Yeah.
Discord with
Yeah.
you, but I can't keep
Yeah.
up.
How do you even
Like
do it?
I
I know.
just can't. I mean, it seems like a really,
And like it's
huh?
hard to know how to even do it. Like I know
Wait, wait.
because I've like put the time in to do it, because I'm like really like,
Yeah.
you guys, like, are you nicer than the atheists on Twitter? And they are. It's a mix of Christians and atheists, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
agnostics and seekers and whatever. And so that's why I was drawn there, because I was feeling a little overwhelmed over on Twitter. But you have to. But that's the thing is, I
Mhm.
got sucked in another way. Like that's these whatever. I'm going on about it.
Yeah.
So for
Exactly.
you, why haven't you
No, it's
explored
tough.
it there? Is it just too much? It's just one more thing.
With
Yeah.
Discord, it's yeah, I can't keep up,
Yeah.
honestly. I've tried, like, I'll every once in a while check it out, and I mean that Discord seems like pretty cool. I mean, for sure, but I just can't. Like, I'm a part of three
Okay.
Discords: yours, Rose of Dawn, and Phil That Remains, and that's it. Like, and I check in once in a while to see what everybody's talking about. I'm like, that's interesting, but also I don't have time to join this conversation and
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It just things are just happening at a rapid rate, and it's hard to keep up and to prioritize. But okay, the reason why, I don't even know how many minutes in we are.
mm,
The reason why I wanted to speak with you, because like I accidentally
yeah,
put in the conversation where we left off, which was in the meaning space. But which is fine, but I kind of wanted to go in the like trans related space, because we didn't even really touch on that at all,
yeah,
which I'm kind of proud
yeah, we
of though,
didn't,
Mars.
yeah,
Like I'm kind of proud that I'm like, I didn't just like be
yeah.
like, hey, you're trans,
Hmm.
let's talk about it, because that's so easy.
Yeah,
So I'm kind of proud that our first conversation like
yeah.
wasn't
So
about that.
yeah, I thought I'm gonna be her
Yeah,
token
I
fan,
know.
and that didn't turn out to be.
So
I'm
like
just
good
kidding.
for me,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess. Like I'm so above like
No, no, it's
typecasting
it's
people.
I enjoyed that conversation, so it's
Yeah,
all
good.
good.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay. But I actually do want to talk to
but
you about not just the trans stuff, but like you're
mhm,
conservative too. And there's a lot of things that I want to go into where identity wise,
yeah,
but then political
mm,
identity. But okay, let's start where
we
I
could,
could,
yeah, we
yeah,
could do
I'm
that
just throwing out
wherever
general
you want.
things, and you're like,
Okay,
okay, Andrea,
yeah,
let's hone in somewhere. And I do actually
mhm,
specifically want to start with you. Speaking of 2020 and occurrences, you got top surgery this past year, correct?
yeah,
That sounded like a bit of an
correct.
ordeal
Which
for you.
it was a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Though I think just for the sake of clarity, they refer to it as top surgery, but it's the double maxectomy.
Okay. Okay.
In case
People don't
I
know.
think that probably a lot of people that are watching it on your
Yeah.
side might not know what that
Okay.
means. So,
Okay.
and that doesn't. I mean, I don't get triggered by that.
Okay.
It's fine.
Was it wait. Well, I want to know. So saying top surgery, is
Mm.
that triggering? Like should I have said double mastectomy? Mastectomy?
No, 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 no. Top surgery is like the more trans friendly way of saying it.
Oh.
I'm just saying that personally, like when it comes to medical stuff and operations or surgery, I don't really
Okay.
care. I'd rather be clear,
Right.
so it doesn't matter. And I included the other version of it because that's probably what people are more
Right.
familiar with in general.
Right. Okay. Okay,
So
yes, okay. So that's clear. No, but
mm,
I
yeah,
like to navigate these things and like be clear about them because I don't know and a lot of people don't know. So that's good to make that clear.
yeah.
So I was wondering how you, because it's been how long since you had the surgery? Like 3 months or?
Last
Oh,
September.
okay.
So yeah,
Oh, five,
yeah.
like
It's
five
been like
months. Okay. I had to
yeah.
count. I had to count it.
Okay, I'm not the only one
And
that's bad at
I
math.
had to
Okay,
count
got
it on my fingers.
it.
Yeah. So no. You
Yeah.
are not. I promise. So it's been
Okay.
5 months. Has it
Mhm.
improved? Like your, I want to say like how your mental state or like your identity of your how you see yourself
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah. I mean, it's like something. I mean, I've said this before, but regardless of the fact, even if I was or wasn't trans, that was always definitely something that, to me, I personally just felt weird about having. Didn't really personally find use for it. So it was kind of like, why keep this part of me when, for me personally, it impacted, yeah, my mental health, but also it just felt like dead weight. Like that's literally what it felt like.
Right.
So I do feel, so yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, to me, it feels more normal now. And I realize that that probably sounds maybe a little bit crazy to some people because obviously, when you're talking about going under the knife, it's not really, I wouldn't say that's normal. I mean, there's a lot of, depending on what you're going under the knife for, it could be very controversial or perceived as, wrong to some people. And I understand that. But yeah, like I said, like for me, that was always for sure gonna happen, due to the fact that obviously I am a trans man, um, because I wanted to I don't know, suppress that part of me. I basically would bind, which again, like if nobody knows what binding is basically like, think about it as kind of like um, a sports brawl,
Right.
but not really. It's like so tight that it really
Right.
compresses
Right.
everything, so that your chest looks
Mm-hmm.
flat. So that's what a binder is, which is something that a lot of trans men may or may not use. I'm not going to say all of them because there's people that are identifying as trans for different reasons. But for me personally, like when I decided that I was going to for sure move forward towards medical transition, I decided that I was going to definitely bind, which, thankfully I didn't bind for 10 years or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. Uh, but yeah, like for me, like last summer around the first or second month of COVID, two things for sure were happening. One was my mental health felt like it was going off balance, or just not in the best
Mm-hmm.
place. And then my physical, like my back was starting to hurt from binding.
Oh,
And I
okay.
know that obviously that's not it, you shouldn't be binding for an X amount of time per day, and let alone every day, which is what I was doing. With the exception of on my days off, I would just not I would not do it at home. But my point is, like, yeah, if you consider that it was impacting my physical and mental health, and some of which could be debated is a choice. But today, basically, I don't have to deal with that. So for me, the outcome completely, got to, or I achieved what I wanted to get out of it.
Okay.
Basically,
And so, does it make you?
that was a lot,
No,
but
no, no, no. This is good. So is it almost making
yeah.
it because you don't have to think about it? Is that in and of itself a help?
So, like, because that part of me is no
Right. You don't
longer
have to
there,
worry about
basically.
binding and the hours that you're buying,
Mhm.
like the amount and considering
Yeah.
like, oh, I shouldn't be doing it every day, and I
Um.
am like
Right.
even that stress being gone now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So like also, I mean, unfortunately, I had more in that area than I personally
Yeah.
wanted to, like my sister probably would have preferred to have what
Oh,
I
she, yeah,
had,
yeah, yeah. You're
but
like,
I
you're like,
got stuck with,
sorry, I wish I
yeah.
could
Right,
trade.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's how it
Yep.
works, right? But anyways, God, what was the question again? What were you asking?
I, I said,
Completely lost my
is
train of
it,
thought there.
is it helpful not having to think about it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is, but I mean, I'm not gonna say that I never thought about. Obviously, that's part of it, but for me personally, it was how it was affecting just my social life. Because when I if I was gonna choose to go out, I would have to
Mhm.
bind, and so it got to the point where I was like, I really don't even want to go out because I don't want to bind, because
Oh,
it's uncomfortable,
okay.
and so like and I have allergies, and so my allergies are kind of weird. But basically, like in the heat, sometimes I'll break out a
Hmm.
little bit, and so what this kind of presented in a way like an issue. Obviously, it's like, okay, well, I'd like to go hang out and do summer stuff, but also I don't want to bind because it's so hot out. And what if like basically it just I don't know, it was just like one thing on top of the other. And yeah, and I understand like for some people they're probably thinking, well, then don't bind, obviously, duh, right? Like, but again, if you're somebody who has dysphoria, and you've decided and have realized that it is far better for you to alleviate it, as well as you feel in some way that you should have been, or you are, or however you want to phrase it, the opposite sex, and want to transition to that, it doesn't really become a matter of question anymore. You do what you have to do to get there,
Right.
basically.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So and this permanent change, you could say, like,
Mhm.
has helped you to deal with your dysphoria better. And it sounds very practical, actually, like what you're describing.
Does it?
Well,
It does. Right. Okay.
it's
I'd be curious what you mean. I mean,
okay. Okay. I'll
like
clarify.
because it makes sense based off of everything I
Okay,
said.
it sounds like practically I don't want to bind, but I do want to go out, but I don't like feel like being like dying in the heat. So practically it's not feasible for the going out.
Gotcha. Okay.
What did
Yeah.
you think I meant by
Yeah.
it?
Exactly. I don't know. I was curious. I was like, does it sound practical?
Yeah, okay. Because
I don't know. Sometimes when
okay.
yeah.
Sometimes when you what?
No, no, no. I was just gonna say like, well, when I explain stuff, I hear myself and what I'm saying after, and I just like I'm always thinking I'm like I realize how this all sounds to like your average person who isn't trans. So I'm always curious to know like
What it sounds
what
like?
you not you necessarily, but just in general, people are thinking. Like this has to sound a little bit
Okay, okay, so I
crazy,
will give you
but also a little,
also what? No, no, no,
yeah,
I need to
but practical too. No, no, no. I get how it sounds like a little bit practical, but also it sounds like I don't want to say actually crazy is probably not the extreme,
Oh, okay. Okay.
maybe.
No, okay. I will
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
you what I was sort of what I thought you would say, and then you gave me the answer that was a
Hmm.
little bit more practical. So which is why I thought that. So
Okay.
here's I'll
Yeah.
okay, you can tell me if this is totally like not even close for
Yeah.
suggesting it. But okay, so
Mm.
so here's something where my own personal identity has been affected by physically how I look. So I had three babies. One of them was 10 pounds. And I promise this is going somewhere.
Okay.
And totally like
Okay. Yeah.
I totally have like stretch marks from that baby. I didn't with the first one, but the second one totally ruined my stomach.
Yeah.
And so I always had this, I didn't even know until after it was, well, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Like I had this sort of view of myself as like, yeah, that tummy looks nice. And now it's, I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not pristine
Yeah.
as it once was. And so
Hmm.
I
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
no one's I don't wear belly shirts. I don't wear bikinis. No one, and
Mm.
my husband does not care.
Yeah.
So other than him, like no one, and me, like no one sees it.
Yeah.
But I feel not great when I when I see it. Do you know what I mean? And it affects my identity of what I was and who I was. And And I've had to, like, I know this is very not that, that's why I'm saying I'm so sorry for comparing. I know it's not the same, but it is how I
No,
saw
no, I
myself.
like it's cool.
Okay.
Mhm. No, I like comparisons because to me it just I mean, yeah, my experience is probably unique in some areas, but also I mean, there's so many other people that have to deal
Okay,
with
so
other
that's how I
things or
related,
have gone through other
yes, to
experiences.
you. Yeah. So
Yeah, right,
that,
exactly.
so if I, and I mean, I could get a tummy tuck and like get rid of those and that excess skin, like, whatever, and it's and then be like, oh look, it's all gone. Yay! I feel I like my identity is restored to what it was before. Again, I don't think I'll be doing that, but I don't
Yeah,
live in LA
yeah,
where
no,
such things are done. But
right.
what I mean is
Yeah,
I sort of thought that it would be a more, and maybe I the question I asked you kind of could have, led you in certain directions, but I actually expected you to give a more like internal, this being removed, it helped me to see myself as I
mm.
mentally see my feel as I, or whatever, whereas you gave a
Well,
little more
yeah.
practical answers. Does that make sense as to why I,
Yeah, no, I get it.
okay.
And it's not that, yeah, and obviously it's not that that isn't a part of it, but to me, I feel like it's more helpful to for other people to understand when you are explaining it in a more practical way than me saying, well, yeah, I did this because I feel like a man. What does that even mean? Then I have to like explain that, which to me, it sounds silly. You're not gonna a dude who isn't trans. He's not gonna tell you that he feels like a man.
Right.
Even women. This is not a general statement that I hear. So what does that mean? I don't know. So it's not really. It doesn't really make sense.
Okay.
I can relate to that. The idea of it, or why somebody would say that, but overall, when I look at why I did or why I continue to do what I do, it's because yes, would I have preferred to be born? Would I have preferred? And to me, does it make more sense if I had entered this world as a biological male? 100%. But obviously that's not the case. So I'll do what I can to get to that point, even though that point I realize is not possible because you can't change your sex. But what I can change, I will because not just of that, but because I have dysphoria.
Right.
So
Okay. But also, I'm just
yeah,
going to observe, and I don't know if this will
yeah.
like make you feel like yay. No,
It's
but I think that the I feel, even though you described that women don't necessarily do this, but like the I
mhm.
feel answers are more feminine and the more practical answers are more masculine. So like you're kind
Okay.
of embodying the masculine
So
a
I
little
can
bit, like with
okay.
with that
All right.
answer,
So
right?
you're validating. Who would have thought I would have come over here and you'd be validating me? Wow, this is
Yay! Oh,
great.
come on. Of course I'd be validating you.
No,
I'm
yeah,
Andrew with the
I'm just,
bangs.
I'm just messing with you.
No, but
No,
yeah, I
yeah,
do
it
see that.
just,
I see that.
I get what you're saying. And I mean, I just, I don't know. I'd rather, like, I wish more people were like that, basically, because it, it just makes more sense. More people would get it, like, and like you were talking about, your experience. I follow a couple of like one YouTuber, for example, pretty big YouTuber. His name is Obese to Beast. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he has like 700,000 subs, and his channel, he used to be obese, and he no longer is. He's very fit, and he does vlogs and commentary stuff. But anyways, my point I'm bringing him up is because his experience is, he was obese and he lost a lot of weight. He has a lot of loose
Mhm.
skin. Most people in his situation have gotten surgery to remove that loose skin. He has not. He has just carried on with
Mhm.
it. And he'll take pictures, and he has no shame in it. Like he'll reveal his loose skin. It's not a big deal. But it's kind of like, for me personally, it is fascinating. What is it, and why is it that somebody who is in that situation and has that experience was and is somehow able to find a different coping mechanism that doesn't require
Mm-hmm.
surgery, and why is it that I went the other route? And the only reason that I could find here is, well, because he's not trying to change his sex, and I am,
Right. Yeah.
but anyways, I'm just raising this point because for me personally, I find it interesting to see how people deal with other experiences they have.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like there's unique things about me because I'm trans, but I think a lot of people have their own experiences that I could relate to in some way,
Right. 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 And likening one situation to another helps people to communicate and to understand each other. So, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
for
leads me
sure.
to like, why is
Definitely.
that something that is maybe taboo? There's a lot of you don't understand, you're not
Yeah.
this, you're not me, and not just in the trans community, like in
Well, what part of it?
other.
What part of we? What when you say taboo? Like, are we referring to just the surgical aspect of it,
No, no, trying
or?
to understand, like, trying to be an
Oh,
ally, like the ally thing, how you're like, is like you can't even understand it, just support,
okay,
like,
yeah, yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Oh, the way, yeah. I get what you're saying. Why is it that people just jump on that allyship?
Well, why
Or
why
yeah,
can't
I get.
we use examples in non-trans ways? Well, you will be specific to trans because use your term. Why is it something that it's like
Hmm.
you can't understand lived experience? And I actually am not as against lived experiences as some are, because I think, if you
Yeah.
have a baby versus like delivering the baby,
Hmm.
it's very different if you lived it versus,
Exactly,
you
right.
know.
Adopting versus
Yeah, yeah,
birthing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can be
Right.
like, oh, I know what it
Exactly.
is, versus like, no, you don't know what it is. Like, I get that,
Yeah.
but even using that as an example, that could offend some people, being like, but you don't understand what it's like to be trans. But like, why are you okay with that? And that this goes into you're kind of more on the conservative side anyway with regards to your politics, and so you're okay
Yeah.
with a lot of things that a lot of trans individuals aren't. And so I want to know why you're okay with these
Mm.
things. That makes sense.
Why am I okay with
I'm
these
kind of
things?
generalizing it now
Yeah, I
more, but do you know
guess.
what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Like being open to discuss
Yeah, yes, yes.
and understand rather than.
If someone is come
Okay, I
trying to
guess
come to
I.
you and be like, "Hey, so I'm trying to
Mhm.
understand. Here's an example of what I think it might be, like what I gave, you know, earlier." And some people would be a little bit
Mhm.
like, "How dare you?"
Throw a slogan out
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah. um, I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know. I guess perhaps maybe part of it could be my age. I'm in my 30s, maybe that's
Oh.
part of it.
Huh.
I've had a long time to really dissect everything and analyze
Mm-hmm.
it. But also, personally, for me, I like things to have, well, okay, not everything has meaning, but if I'm going to do something like this, I would want there to be a strong level of understanding why I'm doing it.
Okay.
Um, so that matters to me. And I guess because for me, there's meaning and understanding behind it, that might play into why I don't feel the need to, like, I don't need people's validation as strongly as other people. That's not to say that it's not like, if I wouldn't want to be referred to as she, her all day, obviously. But at the same time, I'm going to handle those situations differently because I'm pretty comfortable in my skin at this
Mm-hmm.
point, and I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So it's much easier to just like push those moments aside and not
Mm-hmm.
care. I think that's why, and because it matters to me to understand and know
Mm-hmm.
why. I would want other people to as well. I don't get what we would I don't think that we're getting anywhere by just throwing slogans out there and, getting people to just basically regurgitate the same things over and over
Hmm.
again. It's all just, I don't know, it's all emotional based, and I don't, just because part of this is maybe there is emotion tied to it because it's my experience, doesn't mean that I need you to feel emotion for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
Like I don't need that. That's kind of coddling in a way, and like it's not going to result or resort to anything. I don't know, anything good
Mm.
moving forward.
Okay.
So
Right. Okay. So here's actually something that I'm really curious as to how you've dealt with
mm,
this, because you could very easily be used by certain sections of the conservative right.
like political,
Yes.
yeah,
As like a poster, like, hey, look at the
yeah,
reasonable one. You do, like,
right,
that you could
yeah,
just be used in that way.
yeah,
Has
that's
that
true.
happened to you at all?
Mm. Um, I don't think so. I mean, but the same could be said on the other side too. So it's like I could be used by liberals as much as conservatives. It hasn't happened to me. I know that like on Twitter, I think, or rather, I know that most people that follow me there follow me because of my transgender tweets. Like they like what I have to say about that, and you know, some of those people I know are conservatives, and I know that some are feminist because they agree with some of my takes. A lot of times, I guess they forget that I'm not going to agree with them on everything, and every once in a while, I mean, I'm not trying to send them a friendly reminder, but also, I mean, I kind of don't care and I like to clean clean
Clean
house. But
house.
I've noticed, like, yeah, yeah, like you tweet about certain things and suddenly it's like, wait, hold on. So you aren't what I thought you were, And so it's like, yeah, I mean, I've said it many times, like I don't want to be I'm not trying to be anybody's like um, hero or yeah, I don't want to be used like a
Right.
pawn. So I mean, it's cool that conservatives or a liberal or whoever they are support what I say sometimes, but also it is kind of funny that the second I say something that's maybe it comes off as anti-feminist or like anti something, those people just flee, and that's great because that tells me that you were expecting me to be a certain type of person, which I'm not. I'm just me,
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So, do you
Mhm.
feel? Okay, this is okay. I don't know how to
I
say it without sounding ridiculous. Do you feel
yeah.
accepted in the trans
What?
community? Like, as if you guys all have a club?
Accepted. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Do I feel accepted? I mean, no,
Really?
but also like,
Like,
huh?
really?
I don't. Okay, so I mean, I think that inevitably I'm part of the club because of the fact that I'm trans. However, if there's an LGBT center and I walk in and let's say somebody happens to know what my views are, are they gonna make me feel welcomed or even welcome me in? I don't think so, and I know that has been the case for some people that share some of my views. So yeah, like why would they? I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Okay. So I will say, like, in regards to, I don't feel like I'm being. So I don't know. That could be argued because I know that a lot of what I say. But again, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Not say anything? And there's people that just won't say anything, but I'm not gonna just not say anything. But whatever I say, it's either gonna be used by people that would want to push this narrative that is to me boring, meaningless, and also just sounds
Hmm.
crazy. This kind of ideological point of view that some trans activists have, So I could either peddle what they are saying, and then I'll just, be used by certain, I don't know, liberal politicians or liberals in general, or I could just be practical in the way that I am, and still I'll be used by other people.
Hmm.
So it's really a matter of, I guess, paying attention to
Who do you want to be
people
used
that are
by?
trying.
Just kidding.
I don't want to be used by
I know,
anybody.
I
Like I
know, I
don't, but I know
know.
that yeah, but I know that I know that in a way I will. Like it's just like, I mean, I don't know how to not let that happen. I just have to, I guess, pay attention and voice my thoughts. But I mean, I don't personally, I don't think that, I mean, maybe I'm in denial, but I find it very hard for me to be used in such a way because I'm not 100% on board with any particular side.
Hmm.
I missed the mark on either side.
Okay.
So it's, because I think for when we're talking about like a religious, let's say a religious conservative would probably be more along the lines of nobody should be changing their body, being trans. It's okay to live however you like, but this is wrong, this is a sin, etc., and so
Right.
forth. Like that would be that side. And so yeah, I just I don't know, I don't see it. Maybe I'll change my mind, but that's kind of how I see it now.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So would you call yourself a centrist or not? Not really.
So I'm actually in a really weird place. You always catch me in weird places.
Well,
Uh,
maybe we're supposed to
every
work
time.
it out. Like that's what
Yeah,
it's for.
maybe. Okay, so I am a registered Republican, right? And I've never really been, and I mean, I'm not a big fan of politics in
Mm.
general, because there's just a lot of phony people, and I don't like that kind of person. But like, I've never really been super plugged into politics until a little bit close to when Trump started running in 2016. And the reason for that, I think, has a lot to do with just the media kind of becoming so insane
Hmm.
with their narratives, basically trying to kind of twist the truth. That led me to seeing another side to politics. But I mean, I voted for Trump twice, really mostly because I felt like he was trying to do more for America versus what the politicians are doing nowadays on the left, which is to basically throw out slogans and kind of like regurgitate things that they know the woke left want to hear.
Hmm.
But at least I felt like Trump was going to rattle the cage, and I mean he wasn't a career politician, so it was going to be weird, and it was a little bit weird at times, right? But I got what I kind of expected with them, which I don't regret.
Hmm.
But for sure, during the past 4 to 5 years, I realized that at one point I thought I was more a centrist, and then early on, the first couple of years with like 2016, 17, I definitely felt like I was pushing more right.
Hmm.
And then these last couple of years, I find myself going more towards the middle, and then now I'm just like, I mean, I definitely feel that there are values that I appreciate way more about conservatives, but I mean, it just feels like I don't want to say I'm not I just don't trust in so much of it that it's hard to say that I'm a true conservative. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I
What?
just lost faith in a lot of everything that it's like. I mean, yeah, because sorry, I'll let you
No,
talk because I
no,
feel like
no, 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 no. You're good. You're good. No, that's
I'm
so.
trailing off here.
I honestly love that we end up talking when you're shifting views because
Always in a weird
I know,
place.
but
Yeah.
you say weird, but and it does probably feel weird to you,
Mm.
but people don't change their mind that often. So when they do, it's interesting to watch for the rest of us. And to see that it's
For the rest of you.
possible. But like, so I don't mean like,
Yeah.
are you not entertained?
Yeah.
I don't mean that, but I do mean
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could
I
be
got you.
useful for people to be like, oh, it is possible.
Hmm.
And that's okay. And it's okay to change your mind. So
Yeah.
what can you give an example of to why are you not trusting in the the things you did trust in.
Yeah. Well, okay. Just I wouldn't say that I trusted everything before, but I definitely feel like okay, let me be careful how I phrase everything because so basically when we're talking about the politicians, whether they're on the right or left, at least in the United States, because I don't follow
No
Canada's
one does. Don't
politics
worry about
that well to know. Um, okay, so yeah, when we're talking about these politicians and who is for the people or by the people, which is supposed to be the way it is. I would say, 4 years ago, before I even, or when I started to realize I was going to just vote for Trump, I started to think that the politicians on the right were more likely to be for the people. And the ones on the left were, and this is not to say that the people on the right, at no point did I trust every politician. I just felt like there was a little bit more hope in what I was getting with the politicians on the right. And I'm clarifying because I know people take everything out of context. That does not mean that I ever saw anybody on the right as being flawless. I know that there's a lot of liars regardless. But to me, back then, I thought these people who are on the right, at least they're more about, conserving things like freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, being more about tradition, like traditional things like families, or not families, but like family tradition, that sort of thing. And those things do matter to me. And I know that there's a lot of people on the right that are for that. But what I am saying is that with Trump, and maybe he did escalate me to this point faster or something, but with Trump and the media and the way everything happened over the past 4 years, it's I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence between thinking that the politicians on the right and the left are not for the people, and that perhaps there's just this system that we have to follow and play along with, and God, I don't
No,
know
no,
where I'm
no,
going with
no.
this, and
Keep
I
going. No,
really don't
I'm
want to sound
totally there.
yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to sound like a fool here, but I guess my takeaway is okay. These politicians are many of them are corrupt. There are values on the right today, as it stands, that I align way more with than the left. It is very clear that the left is basically taking over whatever liberal meant. Like liberals do exist, but when you look at the Democratic Party, I think more people look at it as being a leftist agenda than a
Okay.
liberal, agenda or whatever. But on the right, we still have, in my opinion, at least, quite a lot of conservatives with conservative values. However, are these people um, are these people running for president or being politicians because they want to do something for us, or again, is there just this dumb little system like maybe other countries have that they just follow through and they'll do things here and there for us, but for the most part, they just are there to fill a seat, get a paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that.
Yep.
And so again, like I completely stand by the fact that there is a lot in conservative values that I do believe in, and I'm not gonna at any point probably move away from that. But I also think that with Trump, what we most of us anyways now know more than anything is that it's really hard to trust what you're reading in the media because they distort so much. Also, uh, can we trust the Democratic or the Republican Party? I mean, I don't feel like I can trust either of these either because they don't necessarily do things that are always for us. Um, and I'm gonna stop there because I definitely feel like I'm
No, no,
traailing
no, no,
off.
no.
But yeah, I don't know.
You're not alone.
Yeah, I hope that okay.
And
I hope that answers it. Like there's conservative values I believe in, but also there's a part of me that just feels like what are we really even doing? And I know
yeah,
like a lot of people say, do we even follow the Constitution here? Like a lot of times they bend the rules. So really, it's like I don't know. Like I was talking to my friend at work about this the other day. I was like, man, it's almost like part of me feels conservative, the other part feels like an anarchist.
Mm,
Like I just don't. It's not that I don't care, but it's kind of just like, at this point, like we're basically these idiots in suits are running a country with mostly lies and BS, and so it's like it. I guess it takes a lot out of you. You're just like you want the best for this country, but then you're like, I don't trust these
mm-hmm.
people. So where does that leave you with a lot of questions? And so I guess I'm just like in this really weird place where I know what matters to me, but also what are we actually? Who are these people that run the countries? They're all just crazy. I
Okay,
don't know.
no,
That's kind of
you're
where
good.
I'm
Okay,
at.
no, because
Yeah,
I definitely have hung out in the space you're
yeah.
describing.
Mhm.
And so you're not
Okay.
alone. Like I have 100% felt like that. And the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that it's called public service for a reason because they're supposed to be serving
yeah.
the public.
Right.
They're not supposed to be
Sup
serving themselves.
supposed
Yes,
to.
I know,
Yeah,
supposed to. Ideals
yeah,
versus reality, right?
mm,
But
yeah.
it does.
Mhm.
I actually had a chat with a guy named Stephen Klaus, who is he's like an expert in the poetry of Aristotle, and he's very specific. Like I'm not an expert
Oh
on
yeah.
Aristotle. I'm an expert specifically in this one little bit that
Yeah.
Aristotle studied about or talked about poetry.
Mhm.
But he's also an expert in his secondary, I don't know, degree or like a specialty, I guess you could say, is the American
Mhm.
forefathers and what they thought of the
Yeah.
early philosophers, right? And so we talked about Hamilton, the musical, actually. Like it was earlier during the
Mhm.
pandemic and all this stuff, political stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And the riots and the looting and the what's going on in this country and whatever. And I didn't know we were going to do this. We ended up just talking the whole time about Hamilton. And it's a
Yeah.
very good example because
Okay.
we ended up
Mhm.
actually in the, do you know anything about the musical Hamilton?
I haven't seen the
Well, it's on
music.
Disney
I mean,
Plus. Go
actually,
check
I
it
don't
out.
mind some musicals.
Okay.
I haven't seen. I mean, I don't have a problem with all musicals. I have a problem with some musicals.
Okay,
But I
well,
haven't checked that
regardless,
out. So.
he of course he's just like a connoisseur of like, anything
Mm.
American forefathers, so he was a big fan.
Yeah.
So he was saying about we
Mm.
learn about the second half is about how, sorry. The first half is about how like, the American independence and the Revolutionary War, and the second half
Mm.
is more specifically about Hamilton and him setting up the financial sector, but personally about how his life
Yeah.
unravels because of his ambition. It worked that served him well
Mhm.
in the war, but not in his personal life. But
Okay.
he so we look at him and his wife, and he is in the public
Yeah.
sector and she's in the private sector. And so I'm not going to go over all of it, but basically I was saying, see, Eliza, his
Yeah.
wife, she sets up the very first orphanage in New York City,
Mhm.
and it's still around, I believe. And it's, I'm like, what
Mm.
a good, like amongst other things, she did a lot of amazing things, and that's in the private
Yeah.
sector. And I think, and Hamilton,
Mhm.
I don't want to disparage what he did. He set up an amazing financial system from nothing,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it was kind of his undoing in the end, his
Mhm.
ambition to be
Yeah.
better and to keep going and to do better. And you go watch it because you'll whatever. Don't go watch it.
Okay.
Read a
No,
summary,
no, no.
man.
No. I'll
You're
check.
you're like,
No.
I've got some
I'll try to
reading
check it
to
out for
do,
sure.
Andrea. I'm not gonna go watch a 3-hour
Yeah.
musical on Disney Plus.
No, no, no. It, no, I don't mind checking
Okay,
it
but it's
out.
good. But
Hopefully I won't forget,
okay,
but I'm
well,
sure.
if you do it, it's good. But
Mm.
it's just to me, it just seems like the private, like, what can you do? And not just with Hamilton. I've had this talk with other people. What can you yourself
Yeah.
do? And that's kind of in the, I don't want to say the private sector. Like, I mean, there's also charities that are large organizations. So I don't want to be like, that's so personal.
Yeah.
But you can take it to the very personal, tends to the garden you can touch sort of level.
Mhm.
Whereas the public sector, it just seems so big and so corruptible and like So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so I
totally.
can see, I've had this conversation with other
Hmm.
people and they're like, well, some of us have our
Hmm.
callings and some, we've got to try. Like, I'm glad MLK tried.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm glad Martin Luther King Jr. tried. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to be like people who did make a difference, like Gandhi and all those, people with their very public protests and very public changes they brought into the world. I don't want to disparage those who did, but to us little individuals, it can seem very disheartening
Hmm.
when you really put your mind
Yeah.
to it
Yeah,
and
for
start
sure.
thinking about it and try to wrap your head around, like,
Yeah.
I thought I could have hope in this
Right.
party, but they're just like the rest. But
Hmm.
that's okay. Now we're gonna come full
Yeah.
circle, Mars. That's why you mustn't have your hope in the things
Yeah.
of this world, in my
Right.
opinion. That's why you need to believe
Exactly.
in
Yeah,
something
no,
greater than yourself and
totally.
greater than our politicians and greater than our
Right.
systems.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And that's also why I just like meaning matters. Whatever meaning I could find today in my life and in things, like that's why that matters even more today. Because to me, maybe that is the most like, I don't want to say heartbreaking because it's not like I'm crying about it, but that's the worst bit of it, right? It's like what meaning is left in conservative values? What meaning is left in liberal values? And where and when can we speak the truth? And I mean, obviously that brings up like the whole censorship thing as well. It's like, at this point, I think that's why I just feel as though, I'm just gonna keep focusing on meaning and the
Mm-hmm.
truth, and that's all I can do because there's just, like I said, so much has been diminished with these so-called values that both sides have, that I'm just like, I don't even know. What I do know is like, yeah, I mean, okay, I have values that are on the right, that makes me unlikable by some people on the left, but that also makes me likable by people on the right who also don't think that what I'm doing is sane. So it's kind of like, at the end of the day, I just don't even care. I'm gonna live my life and find my
Mm-hmm.
truth, and that's it. Like, what else am I gonna do? I can't let myself go crazy, but it has been a four to five, whatever, whenever the media got crazy, like the past, I guess since
Mm-hmm.
2015, it's been
Mm-hmm.
nuts. And like, thankfully the internet is here, with people like you and others that are having conversations, because I don't know where my sanity would be if I didn't at least get to connect with
Mm-hmm.
other people who kind of get how important truth and
Mm-hmm.
meaning is.
Mm-hmm. And you can relate to and can sort of
Hmm.
explore these concepts, and that's why we never stop
Right.
talking. And that's probably why people are so concerned about freedom of speech, because it's almost freedom to think
Yeah.
when you think, because we think through discussing
Yeah.
things. And so yeah, I get that, and
Exactly.
I think that it is good to like never stop discussing and exploring these ideas. And what a good place to
Yeah.
stop,
Yep.
Mars. What a
Yeah.
good place to end this epic chat.
All right. Awesome. Hopefully I didn't sound
No,
too
you're not
crazy going
crazy.
around in
You're
circles there,
great.
but
I so
yeah.
relate to so many things. Okay, and I'm still recording, so I probably should stop. So thank you, Mars, for coming on back to the
Yeah.
channel.
No, you're welcome.
Okay,
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on again. It was awesome
for sure.
chatting.
If you would subscribe, that would be the bee's knees.